Hi everyone, welcome to the show. I'm Jay Ritchie, your host. To some, this presentation may be an uncomfortable topic to deal with, but I've never shied away from uncomfortable or controversial topics, and I'm not about to start today. Today's presentation is entitled, Is there scientific evidence for the existence of the biblical lake of fire or not? Let's dig into the subject, shall we? The first question we'll look at is this: does the biblical lake of fire really exist? In this presentation, we will look at, number one, what the scientific or secular evidence says. Number two, what the Bible says about it. And number three, the implications, what it all means if it does exist. Number one, what the scientific, secular evidence says. Just for clarification, so you are not confused, for the purposes of this presentation, the words hell and the lake of fire are used interchangeably. The Bible claims that a lake of fire exists where unsaved sinners will go for all eternity. Quote, "And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire." According to Revelation 21:8, this lake of fire contains sulfur. In Revelation 21:8 says, "In the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone," theon, which is the second death. The Greek word for brimstone is theon, and it means sulfur. Webster's New Collegiate Dictionary also defines brimstone as sulfur. The lake of fire contains fire and sulfur. Where is this sulfur found? Well, Discover Magazine, August 2002 edition, asked, what's really at the center of the earth? Volcano scientists Robert and Barbara Decker said in the book Volcanoes, on page 128, quote, "Volcanoes are dark windows to the Earth's interior because their products are the only direct samples of the composition of the Earth's deeper levels," unquote. We see that sulfur is found inside the Earth. Nature magazine, in the Science Update section, May 22nd, 2000, says, quote, "Volcanoes may be more like hell than anyone realized. Eruptions disgorge streams of molten sulfur, the brimstone of evangelical preachers, which burns up before it can be preserved for posterity, new research in the journal Geology shows," unquote. Science may not actually believe in hell, but they sure preach about it. This is a screenshot from the BBC website of the BBC's volcano program that aired in 2002, entitled Volcano Hell. The book Volcanoes in the Earth's Interior by Scientific American has a section titled, quote, "Volcanic Windows into Earth's Interior," unquote. This section goes on to say on page 83, "We have a great deal of indirect knowledge about the Earth's interior, and volcanoes provide some of the best free samples." So we can see that volcanoes are a window into hell itself. CNN's science piece, "Underwater Volcano Makes Waves," reported that a volcano in the northern Mariana Islands was named Brimstone Pit by scientists researching it. National Geographic's Eye in the Sky series for Nature's Fury Under Volcanoes on their website displayed the above three images: fire, brimstone, hell on earth. Here is a screenshot from the National Geographic website where the National Geographic magazine had an article on volcanoes titled, quote, "Going to Hell." Scientists may rationally ridicule the place of hell, but as you see, their words of hell betray them. Here is a screenshot from the PBS website. They did a series, Savage Earth, titled Hell's Crust. sulfur is in the earth because the lake of fire is in the earth. In an interview with U.S. Geological Survey, geophysicist Sir Harold Jeffreys was asked by interviewer Henry Spall, which do you regard as the most significant of your contributions to seismology? Harold Jeffreys said, 3. I would say first, the definite statement in 1926 that the Earth's core is liquid. In 1906, R.D. Oldham discovered the liquid core. In 1913, German geophysicist Benno Gutenberg discovered the mantle core boundary. In 1926, geophysicist Sir Harold Jeffreys verified, quote, the heart of the Earth contained a liquid core. In 1936, Danish seismologist Inge Lehmann discovered a distinct boundary in the Earth's core, creating the outer and inner core. Arthur Beiser, in the book Scomm's Outline Series, Theory and Problems of Earth Sciences on page 74, said, quote, the Earth's interior consists of a liquid layer, the outer core, sandwiched between the solid inner core and the solid mantle. How can such a curious structure have come into being? According to the book Deep Interior of the Earth by J.A. Jacobs on page 67, quote, a puzzling problem is how the Earth could have evolved into its present structure with a solid mantle, solid IC or inner core, and liquid OC, outer core. If the transition from the IC to the OC is a transition from the solid to the liquid form of a single material, then the boundary must be at the melting point, unquote. On the screen is a drawing from the book Inside the Earth by seismologist Bruce A. Bolt, page 40, with highlighting added for clarity. Seismology is the study of earthquakes. This drawing is the data simulation from an actual seismographic reading. Notice the sharp turns at the entrance and exit of the inner core, revealing a major structure change. Seismologist Bruce Bolt, in his book Inside the Earth, on page 161, says, quote, from seismological observations, the outer core is liquid and the inner core probably is solid. The boundary between the outer and inner core is sharp, unquote. As you can see, even scientists who believe in the theory of evolution still admit that there is a fiery, hot, liquid core that is evidently set apart by a boundary. This distinct, quote, boundary between the inner core and the fiery, hot, liquid outer core clearly proves something prepared is in the heart of the earth. Indeed, something has been, and according to the Bible, this hell has been prepared originally for the devil and his angels, according to Matthew 25:41. Science shows that this prepared fiery liquid core of the earth is harder than the surface of the sun itself. Author Shauna Nogle recounts the startling outcome in the book The Naked Earth, The New Geophysics, on page 111. She said, quote, the paper came out in Science in April 1987. By anyone's measure, this was an eventful year. The researchers declared the temperature at the center of the Earth to be approximately 12,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That was thousands of degrees higher than past estimates. In fact, it was hundreds of degrees hotter than the surface of the sun, unquote. In 1982, esteemed geophysicist Dr. Bruce Bolt stated in his book Inside the Earth on page 162, it appears impossible to fix temperatures in the core better than 1,000 degrees Celsius or 1,832 degrees Fahrenheit, unquote. The Birmingham News, April 10th, 1987, had an article titled, Earth's Center Harder Than Sun's Surface, Scientists Say. Indeed, inside this Earth is harder than the sun itself. Bill McGuire in the book Raging Planet on page 15 concludes that, quote, ultimately it is the Earth's metallic core that provides the enormous heat energy, first to the mantle and then upward to the rigid exterior and the plates. Here, nearly